Oh. Oh. Oh, is that time already?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was getting lost in Zelda. Yeah. Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with... Oh, it's Doctor Who. Last time on Doctor Who we had Warrior's Gate. You're dragging me away from Zelda for this?
He spent 7 hours on this game yesterday.
Yeah, so... And of course, this joke doesn't work because it's not topical anymore because it's 2 weeks later. But at time of recording this, it's very topical. But, okay, Warrior's Gate.
Warrior's Gate.
You drag me here. We're not. I'm not playing Zelda right now. Warrior's Gate. What happened on Warrior's Gate?
They were caught between N space and E space, and I think the writer must have hit the space bar or just a regular bar. And the thing was, it was very cinematic. I mean, you've already told me that some of the commenters on, I guess, Twitter said that, you know, the movement was very cinematic. The director was, and I think I even commented that very first opening scene. It was a tracking scene that went on for like 30-40 seconds, but the script was just awful. It seriously is one of the, you can roast me all you want, but I thought it was one of the worst scripts in the 18 seasons that we've been watching Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think the upshot of the story is that Romana 2 decided to stay.
She left with the Tharls, the Lionhead guys, because... So it was a whole thing that the Tharls used to be... They used to conquer people and enslave them. Then they got taken down somehow, and
by their own robots, I thought.
Yeah, something like that. And then, so then they were enslaved by people like the crew of the USS Who Cares, because they could use their time sensitivity to travel through. So now, those Tharls were freed from that ship, and now Romana and K9 are going to go and help free the rest of them across one of the universes. I guess they didn't specify which one. I assume it's E-Space, though.
Because she did not want to go back to Gallifrey.
Yeah. So yeah, she left. The Doctor gave her K9 because the writers just don't want K9 anymore. And now we are left with Adric. Who honestly, I mean, he's not terrible.
Up to this point, he's not annoying. I understand he gets annoying later on from the comments, but at this point, he's still a workable companion.
You know, it's sort of the thing that there are a couple other shows that I'm watching, and some just on my own time, where I think to myself, man, why don't I like this character so much? And then I think, oh, because he's a very realistic kid, in that I don't like kids. And to an extent, and I know Adric, you know, he's from E-Space, he's got this whole mathematical excellence thing going on. He is still very much a kid, more than almost any other companion we've had, except maybe like Susan, and she still wasn't that bad. They just didn't know what to do with her. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the main problem with Adric, is he's literally just a kid, and especially coming after Romana. That's not great. Yeah. You know, we're all used to the competency of both Romanas, honestly. So yeah. So that was the worst episode of Doctor Who, and
in our opinion.
And it's also a good reminder to never share your opinions on Twitter. That's just an extra bonus. A lesson which I already knew, but it's like eating healthy. It's like eventually you're going to be tempted to eat something, you know? I know not to give my opinion on Twitter, but sometimes I watch an episode that's just so bad. So, hopefully this episode is much better for our sake, and especially for the sake of I had to put down Zelda in order to watch this. So, you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then why don't we just go ahead and jump into Serial 6 of Season 18, The Keeper of Traken. Here we go.
I don't see what the law of probability's got to do with it.
No. What? Adric, I give you a privileged insight into the mystery of time. Yes?
Yes.
Open your mind to adventures beyond imagining. Yes?
Yes.
And you criticize my logic.
No. No, I'm just saying that a lot of the time you don't really make sense.
Oh, you've noticed that, have you? Well, I mean, anyone can talk sense as long as that's understood. You and I are going to get on splendidly. You're beginning to get the hang of this console. Yes. Traken. Traken Union.
The Fosters have appointed me to look after you. There isn't much I can do. It must be awful being rooted to the spot like a tree. You weren't quite so evil. You might be able to move a bit, just around the grove. Being so evil you can't even speak. Never mind.
Question. What makes them
I'll
evil?
visit you again soon.
They're just evil.
Oh,
It's their way.
by the way, my name's Cassia.
And I've already drunk more wine than a man of my responsibilities should.
This is very Renaissance looking.
To be a consul, and we now release her.
Come, Cassia, thank the keeper.
Who will tend him?
To Foster's, perhaps. Nyssa shall watch over your milker.
Oh,
And
Nyssa.
she must share in the blessing, too.
I remember Nyssa. New companion.
So this is the stepdaughter.
Well.
What do you make of it?
Don't know. But I do hope we know what we're doing.
So do I. We?
You.
Now you're learning. Alright. I've made a prediction. I'm going to show it to the camera, just in case it's wrong. So, I'll look at the camera. I don't know if that can be seen.
I can't see it.
Good.
If these readings are true, then obviously some force is taking possession of Traken.
I should say, my theory is getting less and less as time goes on.
Well, look, I read about something that's just happened.
And?
Well, the next page says it didn't happen at all.
So?
Over the page says it did happen, but many years ago.
Ah, yes. Well, I suppose it is a bit above your head. Mind you, they did say I had a very sophisticated prose style.
As for your handwriting,
Handwriting? What about my handwriting?
it's marvellous.
We've arrived.
That's how conversations about my handwriting go, too. It would help if I didn't show my handwriting earlier in this video, I guess.
Then your craft should still be there.
Yes.
Proctor Neiman, send some of your brothers to confirm this.
Certainly, Count.
Aw, come on.
But if they are indeed known to the keeper...
Every time.
The sanctum is invaded!
Keeper, tell us.
Constance, we are invaded! Evil! Infinity!
So their superpower, the powers of the Melkor, is mild inconveniences. Well, certainly more interesting than the last one.
Yeah.
So,
And, you know, I love it when they have these wonderful period costumes that kind of mixed. Again, the proctors look like something it's kind of something you would have seen in the 1600s, maybe in France. They're kind of musketeer-looking outfits, but they would also fit very easily into late French Revolution up into the Revolution of the 1820s. But the consuls and those other people in that first part, that's very much high Middle Ages and Renaissance stuff. So, it's just a wonderful grab bag of costumes. I love the makeup and the hair and all that sort of stuff. The sets are cool, and you got this interesting kind of golem, not G-O-L-L-U-M, but G-O-L-E-M, this big stone monster
well,
that for some reason Cassia was her name.
Yeah.
Seems to have come under the influence of at an early age, because she ultimately kicked all the, what were they called, the something rangers,
the Fosters,
out of the grove. So yeah, I'm suspecting we can't trust her.
Yeah. And then, it's a slight problem in my head where I'm just like, it's like, oh, it's Nyssa. It's like, oh, I know Nyssa. We know that Nyssa will be the companion. And then I'm like, oh, crap. Maybe I don't know if I need to say that. I don't know if you remember ever. And
no.
And
we
then
only saw what, 1 or 2 episodes with her.
Yeah. And then I start, we keep watching the episode. And I'm like, okay, well, she's gonna have to be a part of this plot at some point because we gotta take her. She's the next companion. So that's just like a slight problem with my head. It's like I keep remembering things like at the last second. So it was the same problem during the vampire episode. I suddenly remembered everything about it. So also, and I'll try to remember to cut the footage back in here. Why are all the titles like off center?
Oh yeah.
Like, I noticed that during the title sequence, but it's happening here during the credits, too. So, I don't know. Like, I guess it makes sense they have to make new credits for all the other actors, aside from Tom Baker and Matthew Waterhouse. So, but I don't know. I don't know why these are off-center. And it's driving me crazy, so let's go to the next episode and hope it gets fixed.
Bring the strangers forward.
I love his makeup, too.
Well... I love how he says evil. It's the same way that like Mermaid Man will shout evil in SpongeBob.
Evil!
Run. You can't outrun a walking rock. How slow are you?
What do you make of him? Does he talk sense?
Well, that's beside the point.
My daughter, Nyssa.
Hello.
How do you feel?
Oh, fine. It's always nice to be reprieved. You didn't know there was a tall blue box with a lamp on top out there, did you?
There was nothing like that there.
I know that TARDIS Tremas. It's got to be out there somewhere.
Very well. I'll take you there myself. But just you, Doctor. Edric will stay here.
Thank you.
You need like a device that beeps when the TARDIS leaves.
This one dies, he will be the last of his kind here on Traken.
But Tremas is named as successor.
Named, perhaps. But what's in a name? Cassia is as good a name as Tremas.
I do not understand.
So the Melker knows Shakespeare?
Is not necessary.
It is not as you predicted, Melker. Seron will now enter rapport.
There is much that you do not understand, Cassia.
I have failed you, Melker. But spare my husband. I beg of you. You have promised.
I really hope it's like, I think Men in Black was just like a little dude inside of it.
No, Melker, no!
Oh no, he got hit by Atari.
Come on. He's only stunned.
Oh no, they have nets.
Electrified.
It's done, Melker.
Oh no, Cassia. It is only beginning.
Alright then.
Well, it's certainly a much more engaging story.
Yeah, I don't fully get everything that's going on. I feel like there's 10 different conspiracies going on, but I don't know. I mean, there's the obvious one with Cassia and Melker. And there's something going on with Seron. I mean, this whole... I don't understand how this society works in general. It's like they have such advanced technology, but it seems to be relegated to one guy and all of the tech. And...
Well, I think the doctor said something about in the wrong hands, that could be disastrous. And that's why they choose the Keeper, because that is the person who is supposed to be the most well balanced or honest or whatever, so that way that person can then keep the harmony.
Well, yeah. So, and I don't know. You think there's anything going on with Tremas?
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know. There's something about it. I'm just like, I don't know, because there's just something about like him, because he had a scientific instrument. He knows some of this science, but also, I don't know, just part of it there's the whole thing of like Cassio was kind of looking into this, and they kind of wrote it off as superstitions, but now he's kind of into it, and I'm pretty sure they said something about something other than the TARDIS, I think. Like, there's something happening that's different from the normal Type 40 that we have. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. So, and why are the credits still too low? They're not centered properly.
That is a lot of hair.
Well, it's 1981.
That's even big hair for 81.
There is a limit to the power of money, Lady Nyssa.
I think this is powerful enough.
I see.
Please do as I ask. I will use it if I must.
You will die for this, lady.
I know what I am doing. Now, the key to the cell, please.
That's a pretty good impression, Nyssa.
Down there.
Fry their fritters.
Good job.
Lovely day.
He's been saying this for 6 hours.
Not a very talkative lot, your Fosters, Tremas. Ah. New technology dead so quickly these days.
That's just me about my phone.
Which way, Nyssa, this way or that?
The architect got a little drunk on this hallway, apparently.
Why are there large cucumbers on the table?
Tremas.
The Keeper is dead.
Long live the Keeper.
Now this Traken web of harmony is broken. I am free.
By this act, Cassia, you are physically confirmed.
It's the Master.
Prepare for
The melted guy?
access to the source.
Yeah. Huh. He got a little bit of a face back.
All your time, Keeper.
And Melker is just his TARDIS.
It's your only chance that you're a TARDIS. Take this and you will wait. It's too late, Tremas. Far too late.
Alrighty.
Well, that was unexpected.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. So the note that I wrote down, that I showed the camera, is I thought Tremas was going to be the Master. Because I'm pretty sure he technically is. As in, I'm pretty sure that actor will be the Master. If I'm right, let me find out. Okay, so I was right. Yes. Tremas is the actor who will become the Master.
Huh.
That's why I've been suspicious of him all episode. I've been looking, I'm like, I think he's the Master, but from what I would imagine is that he's going to take Tremas's body, and that will be his new regeneration. I love the idea that the Master turned his TARDIS into some other species. That's kind of funny, so... But yeah, but it is also kind of weird, though, that, like, they're really banking on you remembering that it's the Master, which, I mean, I know there was a whole thing, episodes back when we had the actress who played Barbara. She was back, and one of the reasons, apparently, that, they don't acknowledge her in any way is the producers thought, well, it's been, 17 years. No one's gonna remember Barbara, and apparently everybody did. So
Sounds like we did.
Yeah, exactly. So even years later, they do remember Barbara. So I can't really go off on the fact that they're banking on remembering the Master from 4 seasons ago. It's possible that that the kids would remember. He does look a little different, though.
Now, was the last time we saw him the Deadly Assassin?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So, yeah, he does look a little less crispy than the last time we saw him.
The main thing, I think, is his face. Like, they've made it more to where it's just, some makeup on the actor's face. You can see his eyes, he can move his mouth. Whereas it was more of just a mask in that one that just kind of vaguely moved a little bit, but didn't really. So that's why this entire story, I've been looking at Tremas like, something going on with him. There has to be. And then as it kept going, I was like, is it? Am I sure that's the same guy? I don't know. Maybe it's not. And then suddenly I remembered, wait a minute. What if the Master takes his body, basically? I would also give you reason as to why Nyssa would go with the Doctor if she's already lost Cassia.
I was assuming that Tremas was going to sacrifice himself somehow, and was it Victoria whose father died trying to stop the Daleks?
Yeah,
and that's why she went with the Doctor.
Yeah.
Right. So I was assuming all along, unfortunately, knowing that Nyssa goes with him, that something would happen to him. But yeah, this would have never occurred to me.
Yeah. So it's exactly the same thing of when I said, "Oh, it's Nyssa. She's the next companion." It's the problem with my head that I saw Tremas, and I was like, "That guy's the Master," and now I've ruined the story for myself. Because otherwise, it might have been a really interesting twist, but it's just stuck in my head. This is honestly, because we made the joke about me playing Zelda at the beginning of this, it's the same sort of problem I have there. Whenever there's new, lore or anything about the history in the franchise, my mind, lights up, how does this fit in with the other games? I don't know. I have to keep playing in order to figure it out. So that's a problem. That's just a problem with my head. So, anyway.
The old Keeper foresaw this, and Cassia gave her life so that I should serve you.
You ask me. Poor old Cassia didn't have much say in the matter.
You still do
Stone
not
cold
recognize
stare.
me, Doctor, but soon you will know me. Soon.
This is the TARDIS. But how?
Just a minute.
Not
We're
important
safe
right now.
No one except the Doctor can get in. Or at least that's the theory.
And the Keeper.
Because until my power is fully active, I shall depend on you.
You may count on me, Keeper.
Excellent. Let
Like
us entrust
Renfield.
you with another task. Neiman, Consul Tremas has a certain document in his possession.
Yes, but he's not like Nicolas Cage.
The computation would take thousands of years.
Oh, I know one or two shortcuts.
Maybe if you had K9. Jeez, yikes. A little warning.
Do you know that expression, 2 heads are better than one?
Good job.
I think that 1 head's better than 3.
Oh. Consul Tremas on special mission for the Keeper.
Hold her on fire! No one may leave the residential quarter!
Man, we gotta keep this iron thing.
Well, Doctor?
Of course. The Master.
Welcome to my new ship.
You look 3% better than the last time I saw you. Good job. Oh, good. These two will help.
What happened? You just missed your chance of becoming Keeper yet again, but confidentially, I think that you're very lucky.
We're all lucky, Doctor.
Really?
To have met you.
Ah, well, I'm afraid your luck's just run out. Adric and I have got to fly. Come on, Adric.
We're supposed to be heading back to Gallifrey.
Whatever that is.
Bye.
I thought I saw the grandfather clock when his TARDIS was exploding.
A new body. At last.
Oof. Gave him a haircut, new clothes, looking good.
At last.
Father? Where are you?
Huh.
Alright then. That's the end of The Keeper of Traken.
Again, one of their better stories.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have the new master because the crispy master doesn't do anything for me.
Speaking of which, was the crispy master the same?
I don't think so. No.
Huh.
So it was two different actors. And I guess, because I don't know, I assume that Melker is the same actor who played the master in The Deadly Assassin, but I don't know. I don't remember. So, well, we have finally opened up the door of bringing back the master in full force. Although, it's as much as I'm probably going to enjoy this new master, and I definitely enjoy the new look, the new, yet also still very old look of the master.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think he's going to be as good as Roger Delgado, but who can be? So as long as he's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think he'll be pretty close. So I think I'll enjoy that. So
I think it is kind of interesting that they did go with the same look. You know,
yeah.
The hair and because I mean, when you think of the franchises like, you know, the James Bond franchise, none of those actors ever look like the one in front of them. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see specifically why they brought him back to look like Roger Delgado.
Yeah, I mean, I could picture something like, you know, just in terms of the story, he just prefers that look, you know, but I don't know, because I guess it brings up the question. I mean, I don't understand the Master's timeline at all. You know, like I know that there's some sort of First Doctor audio, which has actually the cast from An Adventure in Time and Space, brought them back just playing the characters in the audio, and I know that in that one, the First Doctor encounters the Master, but he's some new guy. I think in the picture he's like bald or something. So I can't even like think like, okay, so is that after this point in the Master, or is that an early? Because I mean, at the very least, he said he's on his 12th regeneration.
Yeah.
So the crispiness was his 13th and final body, and he had to get a new body, which I guess somehow gives him 12 new regenerations. I don't know how that works, but yeah. So I guess it brings up the question of like, what were the other versions of the Master before what we've seen? And because there's also, I know there's a headcanon where is that the one we saw, the Roger Delgado Master, was, you know, this 12th regeneration, and the theory is that he tried to force a 13th regeneration and it just didn't work, but because he forced it, it destroyed his entire body, giving us the crispiness we see here. So
now, although that says Melker, but let it go one more and see if they. No, all right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure there's, you know, 25,000 different audios or books or something that may give some more insight into this. But I don't know, because there's also like in modern Doctor Who, there's a point where the Master definitively dies. This is like the third time this has happened, by the way. The Master definitively dies, And then the next Doctor comes along. Almost immediately, there's a new Master. And so people have been wondering, well, is this after? Like, did they undo the Master's death? Or is this version of the Master before that one that we originally saw? So, like, the only thing we have is that the modern Masters should be after the Time War, because that is the only thing that's specifically referenced for the Master. But other than that, I don't know. And then obviously there's the weird gooey snake Master that was in the movie who possessed Eric Roberts, and then that was going to be his new body, I guess, but then he was going to take the Doctor's body. I don't know. I don't know. There's no understanding the Master, I feel like. So, but I'm glad to have a new body for the Master, because I want those old Master episodes back, because I feel like peak classic Doctor Who is that 8th season where even though it got kind of ridiculous, every single episode was something with the Master, and just that dynamic between the Third Doctor, the Master, and Joe, it was all perfect. Like, that to me is the best season of Doctor Who so far, and they just haven't gotten it back. So, but it'll just be nice to have a reoccurring villain, basically. So other than that, the rest of the story, which I presume I guess he just doesn't have the powers of the Keeper anymore.
Yeah.
Now that's been passed to Luvic, the other guy that was there. Which for a while, like, I swear all of his lines were, I don't understand what's going on. And it's like, well, I don't understand either, but try to keep up, you know? It's like, I don't know if we need you to be in charge of this. But,
well, it struck me that Luvic was the guy who had the least amount of ambition.
Yeah.
Which, you know, when you've got a ruler who's trying to keep harmony, you know, in this entire system, whatever it is, that the lack of personal ambition is actually a good point. You know, he just says, I'm just here to do what's best for everybody, not having any personal thoughts.
Yeah, so, and you know, the whole thing with the Source, it kind of reminds me of the Meglos episode with the dodecahedron and all this power that, you know, he could have, and it's sort of that similar thing, except here you replace it with a more interesting villain. Instead of Meglos, it's the Master. Still about the same amount of prosthetics on the actor, but yeah, it's like this source of power on a planet that doesn't use, I don't know, like, I'm trying to, like, figure out everything about this planet. It's like they're very technologically advanced. They don't really do anything with it. Like, even if it's, you know, they're not conquering the universe or anything, but they're not even, like, helping the universe. They're just kind of keeping to their planet, and it's just that, you know, all of this evil shows up on this planet and then is either just destroyed or redeemed or whatever. And I don't know, and I guess the Master was just playing the long game with Cassia. But although I guess this brings into question, did the Master have 2 TARDISes? Because one is Melkur, and then within Melkur he escaped into the grandfather clock, so he must have 2 of them. So I guess in theory he may not have played the long game with Cassia. He could have just, you know, planted a few seeds, gone to his TARDIS, just gone into the future, just kept jumping forward until his plans were ready. But because that's where did he get another TARDIS? And I don't know. But yeah, so this whole planet is all about being good, but not really doing anything with that. I don't know. I guess that's a good thing, you know, is that they have all this power. They don't really do anything with it. Well, that means they don't do anything bad with it, I guess. So, but then there's also this whole thing about superstition, even though it seemed to just be like, from what they were talking about, like scientific readings were kind of like superstition. It's like, well, but don't you have that because of the source, the power, or is it just that the keeper keeps that?
The whole thing about the superstition, I think, the impression I got was that Melker had essentially implanted that, groomed Cassia to believe that, so that she could ultimately, engineer the rest of the plan. Because the other consuls, were, they understood the science, but they also understood that there was superstition.
Yeah, I guess it could even be because they just figured Melker was dead, calcified or whatever. He's stuck there as a statue forever. So maybe it's less that it's anti-science, but more of just he's dead. There's no reason to think that he's not dead. Yeah. So,
and by the way, the Melker costume, very interesting. It's asymmetric.
Yeah.
But he could move his head back and forth. He was able to walk. So that's better that than some slimy thing that hulks around.
Yeah. So, let's see. Well, I may have to. I'm not. I was about to say I may need to watch this again. I'm not going to watch it again. But while I'm editing, I'm going to take more of an appreciation of Tremas, I think. Because this entire time I was like, I think that guy's the master. And I kept going. It's like, is he the master? I don't know. Is there something going on with him? And it's like, oh, he wasn't the master. Not yet, basically. So now I'll have to think about that as like, oh, okay, so I was wrong about my assumption there.
Well, didn't you say that Capaldi actually played a part in a Doctor Who episode before he became the Doctor?
Yes. Yeah, he was in a 10th Doctor episode. And there's a number of times when that does happen. I think there'll be a 5th Doctor episode where you'll see Colin Baker, and then eventually he'll become the Doctor. So yeah, it's entirely possible. Because I also thought midway too, it's like, well, yeah, but then we had Romana and the princess in that episode, and then in the next episode, Romana regenerated into the body of the princess. And so then I kind of thought, well, I guess it could be something like that. And then I thought, well, maybe the master will take his body as his new one. So, it's interesting. I like, having the cliffhanger of the master has his new body. He got a haircut and everything. He's got, this new outfit, and he goes off into his grandfather clock, and he goes away in his TARDIS. It's interesting though that we didn't have a scene of Nyssa going back to the TARDIS and going with the Doctor, but maybe that'll be. I assume that'll be next episode. Maybe they were also unsure if they were going to keep Nyssa or not. I like her so far.
Yeah.
Another smart mind, which is good. We seem to be getting a lot of those lately. So another good smart mind, and very good with that weapon of hers. So hopefully she gets that back.
And kind of like Adric, this is where it used to be like with Hartnell. He was the all-wise, all-knowing, and Susan knew nothing. Now you got two much younger people, late teens, early 20s, who do have a lot of knowledge, and it's the Doctor who is now, the old crotchety guy going, I don't know what's going on here. I'm just making this stuff up as I go along.
Yeah, and they definitely, I feel like they definitely have more book smarts, and I guess the Doctor has, I guess not really street smarts, but space smarts, yes, he knows a lot about science because of being a Time Lord. He knows how to operate the TARDIS and everything. He knows all of this stuff, but he has been out in the universe. He's had more experience before, which was also sort of the dynamic between the Doctor and the original Romana as well. So sort of keeping that dynamic is interesting when we've had a lot of companions who don't really know too much, or they are sort of the more street smart ones. They don't really have science, or Leela, who, well, she knows her way around a knife. So, but now having this type of companion is very interesting, and now two of them as well. So yeah, and then I didn't write down a ton of other stuff. I guess I just kind of feel bad for Cassia for just being, you know, brainwashed basically since she was a child by the Master, and then yeah, just ended up being replaced basically. So yeah, and then everything with the source. I mean, when you really stop and think about it, when it's like, oh yes, there's this all-powerful source that the Keeper of Traken, you know, uses, and he has such a great power. He can even get into the TARDIS, you know, which is not many people can do that. It's like, yeah, that makes sense that the Master would go for something like that, because his plans have not improved in the time since.
Yeah, he talked about, you know, conquering galaxies and putting together an army, and it's like, seriously, dude,
it never works. It just never works. Which, I guess, so yeah, that was season 8. It's been 10 years since the Master was first introduced in this show. So, yeah, not much has changed. And especially now that he has his new body, really not a lot has changed. He looks almost exactly the same, just he doesn't have he doesn't have the gray in his hair that Roger Delgado had, but it's certainly the same sort of almost vampiric look to him.
Yeah.
So but yeah, but I'm still open to it. I'm curious, and if anybody wants to try to explain how the Master's timeline works, you are welcome to try, but good luck to you.
Yeah.
And you may use the Doctor Who wiki as a source, by the way. That definitely counts, because otherwise I don't know how somebody would keep track of any Doctor Who canon. Even if you just go with the show makes no sense. Anyway, but we got one more serial left in this season, and it will be Logopolis, the final, presuming the final story of the Fourth Doctor. So yeah, you got anything else?
I got nothing. Is that a 4-parter?
It is. It'll be serial 7, and it is a 4-parter.
Okay.
So yeah. And I guess the big question is, will the Doctor ever go back to Gallifrey? Because they've teased that all season, and they just haven't done it. So, but yeah, that is basically it. With all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and I'm going to go back and play Zelda now. So why don't you do the outro while I sit here and pretend I'm gaming.
All right, let's see if I can remember this. Thank you all for watching. There's a playlist if you want to look down below of all, not only the other classic Doctor Who, but all of his other stuff. There's a like button, a subscription button, and of course we always, especially me, because, you know, he needs the money, ask you to become a Patreon subscriber as well. With all that being said, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.